As an attending, I often think back about what I would have done differently if I knew what I knew now when I was a resident. I'm going to share with you 5 lessons or 5 things that I would do differently if I were a resident again, specifically in the management of my finances. Hello, my name is Dr. Brittany Halford, and on this channel we talk about all things personal finance to build more joy and more wealth in your life. And today we are going to talk about things that I would have done differently in the management of my finances as a resident if I could do it all over again. Now, I don't like to play, looking in the rearview mirror, because we all know that hindsight is 20/20. And one of my mantras is you do the best that you can with the knowledge and the capabilities that you have. At the time, as a resident, I did the best that I could with the knowledge and the capabilities that I had at the time in the management of my finances. And I did many things right, but here are 5 things that I would have done differently. And the first thing is invest in myself. So I'll tell you a brief story. I was a resident at Washington University in St. Louis. And when I moved to St. Louis, I realized that there was no Chase Bank available to me. So I opened up an account at Bank of America. And during that time, they have you meet with a financial planner. Now, the financial planner looked at my profile. As a resident, you make a decent amount of money, but you do not make a full attending salary. So what he recommended at that time is that I invest in a Roth IRA. I opened up a brokerage account with his assistants at Merrill Edge, and I invested in a BlackRock mutual fund. Now, over time, BlackRock, this mutual fund, actually has done fairly well. So that is not the mistake. The mistake is after I opened up this account, first, I didn't know much about Roth IRAs, what the benefits were, what the income limitations were. I just knew that this financial planner sat down with me in all of my innocence and said that you should do this. So I did it. And after I left the appointment, I did not think twice of, okay, how can I manage this for myself? How can I invest for myself? It let me actually do a little bit more research into what he is telling me so that I can maximize and have a better understanding of this investment. And that is the first thing that I would do differently, is that I would learn a little bit more about investing. I knew that I should invest, but I didn't actually know how to invest, nor did I seek out that knowledge. I mentioned that I opened up a brokerage account with Merrill Edge and that I invested in the BlackRock mutual fund. I wish, and this is the second thing that I would do differently, is that I had done it on my own and opened up a brokerage account with Fidelity or Vanguard instead, because Fidelity and Vanguard historically have lower fees. I invested just a small amount of money with this company. However, because it is a mutual fund, an actively managed mutual fund, that means that I have high expenses. So I almost did not see any growth in this account for an extended period of time until recently, where we see that there is a surge in the stock market. Now, as I am speaking to you, I have not transferred those funds from Merrill Edge as of yet. So that's something that I can do as an attending right now as I am making this video. So hold me accountable, guys, to say, Brittany, did you transfer those funds? It's not a significant amount of money, so I haven't moved the money, but it's money that could be better invested for sure. And by doing it by yourself, you can select whatever mutual fund, whatever stocks, whatever ETFs, index funds that you actually want. And now I would likely take that money and transfer it and invest in an index fund, which has lower costs to me. And if you think about the expense ratio, so this mutual fund that's actively managed has an expense ratio of 1.6%. And that it compares to the Vanguard VOO or Vanguard S&P 500 ETF that has an expense ratio of 0.03%. So I'm losing money over time with this actively managed mutual fund. Number 2 is I wish I would have done more research and did it myself. The third thing that I would do differently is I don't know if I would contribute to my 401k. Now, as a resident, you don't actually have a match. And because I was in a lower tax bracket, the income taxes were not substantial. Instead of investing in my 401k, I therefore would have contributed more money to a Roth IRA after, of course, learning about all of the benefits of a Roth IRA. So a Roth IRA, you're contributing after tax dollars. So As a resident, one of the reasons why I contribute to my 401k as an attending is because there's an employer match. And also, I need to decrease my taxable income. Every year, we have to pay back something to the federal government in the form of unpaid taxes. So I definitely want to reduce my taxable income, and that way you can invest pre-tax dollars in your 401k. But as a resident, you aren't making that much money. You're making a decent living as, you know, an American citizen. But compared to physicians, you are not making a full physician salary. Therefore, I would have maxed out my Roth IRA prior to contributing to a 401k, because the Roth IRA has more benefits using after-tax dollars. So that means that that amount of money that I would have contributed would have been taxed at a lower tax bracket, and when I pull it out in retirement at a higher tax bracket, I will not have to pay taxes on that money. So it grows tax-free while I pay the least amount of taxes that I could potentially pay on that amount of money. So that is the benefit of opening up a Roth IRA and maxing out a Roth IRA as a resident, is that money is taxed at a lower tax bracket, which means that you get to keep more money in your pocket as it grows when you pull it out as a retired physician. And the fourth thing that I would have done differently is I would have contributed the maximum amount to the Roth IRA. As a resident, we all are under the income limits for a Roth IRA. Each year, the income limits for a Roth IRA change. However, the resident salary will always be below the income limits for a Roth IRA. Therefore, I wish I would have maximized the contribution and contributed $6,000. As a resident, you can contribute very easily into a Roth IRA. As an attending, I can contribute to a Roth IRA, but the process is more complicated as you have to do this backdoor maneuvering of sorts. So you definitely want to take advantage of the ease of contributing to a Roth IRA as a resident, and you want to maximize your contributions to contribute the $6,000. So that's $500 a month, and I believe that you guys can do it. So learn from my mistakes and maximize your contributions to the Roth IRA. And the fifth thing that I would have done differently is I would have rolled over my 401k contributions to a Roth IRA. Now, what is rolling over? Basically, you take contributions that you've contributed to one 401k plan to another 401k plan. You can transfer that money that you've contributed to one plan and put it into another plan. But that transfer of funds does not have to be from a 401k to a 401k. It can be from a 401k to a traditional IRA or a 401k to a Roth IRA. And I wish that I would have made the transfer from a 401k to a Roth IRA. So if you roll over that money, those are pre-tax dollars that I contributed to a 401k. When I transfer that money to a Roth IRA, that means that I have to pay taxes on that money that I am transferring to the Roth IRA. Therefore, you can maximize your savings of your money by taxing the money at a lower tax bracket. So that's it, guys. Learn from me as your attending physician, financial educator, and take these tips and act upon them. There is a huge opportunity to invest as a resident, and remember, you want to get into the market as soon as possible because it's actually the time in the market that helps you grow. I hope that this video was helpful to you guys, and if it was, please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe and that notification bell, because I'm going to be talking about 401ks, Roth IRAs, investing, so that you can actually build generational wealth for yourself and for your families. All right, guys, that's all that I have, so I'll see you next time.